Watch now as I take you down a road that is less traveled in the field of medicine. You've seen all the doctors, taken many tests and pills, but you keep getting worse. Do you know why? Welcome to Know the Cause. Today's show is going to be a little bit different. It's all done outside. We're not in the studio, and my eyes are going blind. You getting enough vitamin D?
Little bit right here.
Wow. Today's show is going to be on stress because our producer asked me, what do you do when you're under stress? In California, I used to surf, I used to jog on the beach, I used to ride my bike, and so we're going to go outdoors today. What do you do when you're under stress?
You know, I definitely don't get on a boat. Well, that's something we might do today.
All that and a whole lot more. You ready to go?
Permission to come aboard, sir.
Let's go, dude.
All right.
On Know the Cause. Okay, welcome back, friends. Thank you for being with us today. We're out in the middle of a huge lake here in Texas. Kyle Drew, my cohort here, and I are talking about stress. To me, this is the epitome of stress relief. You?
I love it. I actually do love it. Whenever I was growing up, we went to the lake all the time. This is not stress relieving for everybody, but it is for some. And whenever you have a chance to get out and get away, gosh, it just feels so good.
Well,
this
you
is a great
can tell
day.
from my deep tan how often I get out, get out in the lake.
Right.
Along comes responsibility, family, a wife, kids, all of the stresses that life brings us. And here's a list, University of Arizona. Now, I don't know if I agree with all these. I thought the #1 stressor was really the death of a loved one.
Yeah.
You know, here it says not having enough time.
Not having enough time. I'll tell you what though, boy, are we strapped for time. And with all the technology, here's my phone right here. I mean, we are supposed to have more time because of all of this, but really it doesn't always work out that way.
Listen to this. These are the top 10. Okay, not having enough time, unhealthy lifestyle.
Uh-oh.
I think that's really
That's what the show's all about.
Taking on too much. How many of you are doing that, right? Conflicts at the workplace. All you
no
guys, camera
doubt
guys,
about
right?
it.
Director, producers.
Wow.
Even Scott, even the captain has a... okay, taking on too much of the workplace.
Hard boss to work with.
Yeah, Kyle, it's just part of what you get, man. Missing the opportunity to take time out and relax.
Here we go.
Here you go.
Here we go.
This really does my soul so good to get outside and just relax. When we lived in California, I used to do a lot of this. And anymore, I just don't get out. Serious illness or death in the family. I would have put that up at #1.
Yeah, I dealt with that a lot last year as my dad was dying, and we were always there. And it is stressful, but it is one of those things that whenever you get past it, we were actually talking with our producer, and when his wife was going through, a death of a loved one, oh my heavens, Alzheimer's in fact. It was one of those things where you can age so quickly, but that's the effect of stress, is aging really, really rapidly.
And then how do you deal with it? Okay, it's right there in the middle of your world, right? How do you deal with it? Listen to the next few. Neglecting to see the humor in situations. We're both standing. Okay, good work, Scott. Neglecting to see the humor in this. This isn't surfing anymore. This is like a huge surfboard, right? Okay, then particular situations that cause stress. We each have those, by the way. And during our Is That So segment, I'm going to tell you an interesting story that I read about on the internet. And then major life changes. A lot of us go through many of these at the same time, and they're cumulative. They tend to add up very quickly. stresses in your life, your dad passing.
Yeah, that was a big deal, and I know my mom's going through a lot because here she is, 87 years old, and she's wondering, who am I now? I've been married for 60 plus years, and what is this new life change going to be? And I gotta tell you, it's never easy to figure these things out, but it's crucial that we do because stress is an absolute killer.
Okay, now the reason I wanted Kyle to be on the boat with us is he's really the chief. He understands these things very well. One of the no-nos, one of the high stress was change of lifestyle.
Yeah.
Do you think, Kyle had the occasion a couple of years ago, you remember if you're a longtime viewer, he had the occasion to live 6 months of the year.
Oh yeah.
Totally on phase 1 diet, getting out and exercising daily, and the second 6 months, he lived a stressful 6 months. Is there anything that can be done? You've lived both ways.
Yeah.
When we change our lifestyle, don't our stressors become less?
Gotta tell you, when you can't sleep because you're living an unhealthy lifestyle, when you cannot de-stress, this is the kind of thing that just exacerbates the problem. Remember that first 6 months, I did an experiment. First 6 months, lived really a healthy lifestyle. Second 6 months, did everything wrong on purpose to see what the effects would be and to document it. Oh man, you're not feeling well, you have restless leg, you're insomnia, depression.
Yep.
It's a big, big deal. But whenever I changed back again, it took time, but everything started to evaporate little by little.
So don't go away. Kyle and I have a whole lot more to bring you on this beautiful boat out in the middle of near Dallas, Texas on stress.
I was asked recently to write about how I handle stress. I didn't end up writing what I initially thought I would. I thought I was going to write that we were taught there is no such thing as a stressful situation, that we should do personal development courses that teach us to love ourselves more and to change the meaning of events in our lives. We read books recommending that we unburden ourselves from ever-increasing workloads. We take wonderful herbs and repair our adrenal glands with rest and relaxation. I have done them all, and they've all helped. Yet over the years, I've come to realize that I was missing something. Something that was lurking in the shadows like a wolf in the wild. I realized my stress was there because I had been removed from nature. We are a wild animal now living in a zoo. Separate any organism from its natural environment and it will become stressed. We are separated from the air, the food, the water, and the movement that is designed for us. So the greatest tool I have discovered for my stress is to move back to a life I was designed for. I have returned to the earth, where I live, how I eat, what I drink, and how I move. My purpose in life has changed, and so too my ability to handle stress. I'm Dr. Greg Emerson for Know the Cause.
Just before Christmas, this past Christmas, my husband went to the doctor. He had been ill for a few weeks, and he went and he found out something that was totally different than what he went for. They came in and told him his PSA was 21.4. They were very concerned and wanted to do a biopsy. We weren't going that direction, so we went home and started on the phase 1 diet, along with olive leaf and some omegas and vitamin C, and 30 days later, went back and had another PSA test. They called him the next day with the results. Very exciting. His PSA was 2.1. The nurse told my husband, "I've never seen anything like this. What are you doing?" And he said, "We're praying and doing an antifungal diet." And she said, "Well, keep doing it, and we don't need to see you again for 3 months. Do the phase 1 diet, or at least the phase 2. If the phase 1's a little too strict for you, at least do the phase 2. Oh yes, he's lost his belly.
Kyle, do you remember a couple of years ago, Time Magazine, or one of the big magazines, Newsweek or something like that, had on their cover, discovered the cause of heart disease, Alzheimer's, cancer, etc. And it went on and on. It said inflammation.
The silent killer.
Right, the silent killer, inflammation. Well, a new study out just in April of this year, 2012, says that we know now that stress causes mind and body problems, but we didn't quite know how. And now they're saying that same inflammation, right? You and I call it swelling. What makes bread swelled? right? What makes bread inflamed? Yeast. They don't know this and they're not saying it, but what they're saying is inflammation plays a role in stress.
You know what's interesting about stress is that the immune system is really, really stressed whenever we're under stress, and the effect is the immune system starts to go down, down, down. Guess what we become susceptible to?
Sure.
Here comes the fungi, here comes the candida, and everything kind of follows that. They start with inflammation, some of these studies, but if they went a little bit below it, I think they'd find the real cause.
And here comes the fun part of this whole study. That is, several years ago, doctors found that the C-reactive protein, right? You'll go to your doctor and you'll say, you know, I'm gaining a lot of weight, I'm stressed out, I feel like I'm having a heart attack, it's beating out, and he'll take your blood and say, wow, your CRP, your C-reactive protein, which is an indication of inflammation in your body, is way up. Guess what else makes the C-reactive protein go way up? You're watching Know the Cause, so you already know, right? It's a fungus that causes your C-reactive protein to elevate. So when they're talking about secondary conditions to stress, and they're talking about inflammatory conditions, cytokines and so forth, chemistry inside the body, always, folks, look at your plate. Look at your lifestyle. Look at your sedentary lifestyle. Is that the most exercise you get? And if so, always think fungus. That's because it's so.
Is that so?
So we're definitely all under a good amount of stress these days. So my top 4 tips to reduce the stress. Number 1, sleep. I know we don't think we have a lot of time to sleep, but sleep is really important and helps you to be more productive. So try to get your 7 to 9 hours if possible. Exercise. Exercise, just getting the blood going, helps you detox a little. Just, you can do it in your apartment, home, or outside, but just get exercising. Phase 1 diet, a good whole food based diet, eating lots of fiber and good fats in your meats, and your berries and things like that are going to make you feel so much better, and they impact your mood and your stress in a big way. And then last of all, prayer. You can't forget prayer. That really helps me to calm down, get perspective, and decrease the stress.
You've got to love a guy who is in his 20s or 30s and his whole life is based on trying to understand what will non-toxically kill bacteria. Little Alex was born about 127, 130 years ago now. His mom and dad called him Little Alex. It was actually Alexander Fleming, the man we credit today with discovering that mold kills bacteria. Fascinating story. It was in 1881 little Alex was born, and it wasn't until 1928 that the big discovery was made, but it was made serendipitously. He was in a laboratory studying and growing out Staphylococcus bacteria so he could culture it and see what would kill it. He left the lids off the plates where he was growing the staph, went home, came back a week or 2 later, and I'll be darned if the staph wasn't dead. What killed it? Was it just magic? Does air kill bacteria? As it turns out, in the same building, there was someone upstairs studying mold. The mold had filtered down in the building to his plates, impregnated with this bacteria, and sure enough, the mold killed the bacteria. As great of a breakthrough as penicillin was, penicillium, and all of the subcategories now of penicillin, there are some darker sides to it, and we talk about that on the show. Well, that was 1928 when Alexander Fleming realized it's the mold, it's microscopic mold that killed this bacteria. It would take another 12 or 13 years for his peers, other scientists, to say he's really onto something here. In 1940, you know the story about the policeman who was injured in his line of duty and was dying, and along came Alexander Fleming, put a little penicillium onto the wound, and the man lived. Penicillin began selling and selling and selling and saving a lot of lives. You know the light side of this story. Penicillium is important. It's called penicillin today, or many subfractions of that. But there is a darker side to penicillin that we talk about on this show. A little bit is probably fine, a little bit more probably toxic, and now you know this. Okay, and welcome back, friends. Thank you for joining us today. We're talking about stress. If you're just joining us and you talk about stress, this guy causes me so much of that. Kyle told you earlier in the show that he chose 2 lifestyles, right? He took a year, 6 months. He followed the phase 1 diet, exercise the way he normally does, and then he chose to take 6 months and do something different. When that happens to me, when I start cheating a little, when I fall off the diet or I'm not exercising, man, that becomes addictive. Before you know it, I'm going through the cupboards looking for something chocolate, something sweet. Did that happen?
I couldn't believe how quickly the addictions came back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things, is that when you are in the throes of food addictions, and we all have the ones that we love, right? When we're in the throes of that, my gosh, you don't know what it's like not to feel that way. But whenever I got off of that whole experiment that I did, came back around, it wasn't the first day that I felt better. It took a bit of time, but then when I also incorporated exercise, that was the amazing thing for me, is that exercise never felt like anything to me until I came back and day after day after day started feeling the really good effects of exercising first thing in the morning.
Okay, now I speak from experience. It generally takes a week, 2, 3 weeks, depending on how addictive your lifestyle is, right? How much coffee there is every day, how much alcohol there is, how much corn there is, etc. So it takes a period of time. Many of you, as you begin to go good from bad, the way I have 100 times, notice something happening, right? There's a name for this. It's Herxheimer. It's die-off. So the first few days, your psoriasis was bad because you were living kind of that lifestyle that wasn't good. But man, you hit it out of the ballpark. When you sent us those pictures of your psoriasis, that's when he got off of all those foods and went back on a healthy program. Within a few days, you feel horrible. It actually exacerbates the same symptoms.
Yeah, you're killing all of that stuff off, and the poisons are literally being liberated and coming out of the skin and everything else, and you feel, ugh. But if you can get past that, and a lot of people don't want to get past that, but if you get past it, that's when you can really start taking off.
Okay, don't go away. We'll be right back with you. Okay, how many of you, with a show of hands, want Chilean sea bass for dinner tonight and you just don't know how to prepare it?
I do.
Look at all these guys, all raising their hands,
love
all the
sea
camera
bass.
guys. I do too, and you have a special way of preparing.
I do.
Did you just get one of these,
I
Danny?
did. It's my new favorite toy. It's a bamboo steamer. They've been around forever in China, and they're really terrific. What I'm going to do today is to prepare a meal of fish and vegetables.
Okay.
Such a simple preparation, really clean, easy, quick. What else do you want?
Let me explain this. You have one of these sitting in the boiling water in that pan, and this is wood, okay?
Right. What you want to do is you want to put your steamer into a pan that will be just big enough for it. You don't want to have too much room on the sides, and then fill it with water just to where it comes up to the bottom of your steamer. You don't want the water bubbling into where your fish is going to be. And then you don't have to put vegetables in here. You could put a piece of parchment paper or something, or you could put your fish right on it. It just makes it easier to clean. And I figure, why not? We have some bok choy.
Bok choy, you guys. Bok choy. Get this, a Ming Dynasty pharmacologist, right, 14th century, began studying for medicinal benefits this vegetable bok choy, so you know that it's a good one. And Denny is setting spicing up the Chilean sea bass and setting it on the bok choy, so we're going to have a good dinner here.
Right, I'm just putting a little bit of seasoning, some green onions and
ginger?
some fresh ginger on here. We're not going to actually eat this ginger, but it's going to give really good flavor to the fish when it's cooked. So we're just going to put this lid on, and we're going to wait about the fish will be cooked in about 10 minutes. We're going to wait about 8 minutes, and then we're going to add some more vegetables to it.
Good. Okay, so after 8 minutes here, we're checking the Chilean sea bass and see how it's cooking. It's real thick, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. These are thick fillets, and it's starting to flake. It looks like it needs a little more time, which is perfect.
Another layer.
Just enough to put on the second layer here. And we're going to put in the rest of our vegetables. We've got zucchini here. And I slice this very thinly so it will cook really fast. Figure 2 minutes on that. And we'll check back in 2 minutes and see what we're doing.
Got a whole meal going.
That's right, in one pot.
Good. And there we have it.
There we have it.
And it didn't take long, maybe 30 minutes to make this. So you get home from work and throw this together.
Not even 30 minutes. It was
20
like
minutes?
15. I mean, how fast is that?
And look at this, is an array of good vegetables, very nutritious vegetables. Bok choy and this, oh, and then the
Zucchini.
Chilean sea bass. Ooh.
Have that.
Okay.
Whoop. Okay, now I'm going to show you a little trick. I'll take this off. I'm going to bring your fish over here with its bok choy right underneath it.
That's amazing the way that cooks.
Yum. Stand up there.
Ah, it likes to lie down.
Okay, now wait. There's more. A little bit of coconut aminos.
Ooh, I love those, Denny.
And then some hot sesame oil right over the top. And that'll kind of cook that ginger and green onion flavor right into the fish.
So do you eat art, or do you just stand back and look at it?
You gotta eat it.
That is just beautiful. Look at it, just falls apart. Look
Yeah,
at
and sea bass is a real fatty fish, so it's almost impossible to overcook it. But in a steamer too, you're gonna have trouble overcooking anything.
If you don't mind, Denny, I'm gonna have one more bite of that. That is just too delicious. Look at that, the way it just
Sea
falls
bass
apart.
is such a good fish.
1,000 thanks. That is delicious. It's interesting that we just had Richard and Heather Lenz on,
Yep.
and we're talking about foods now and supplements that might help you cope better with your stress. You've learned about how a lifestyle change might make all the difference in the world, but the first time you go out and jog, it's going to hurt. The second, third time, it's going to make your skin worse. You're going to think you gained 4 pounds. What's this all about? It's all about the die-off and the getting better and the Herxheimer. But what I want to talk to Kyle about right now, because he really, with his chemistry degree and background, he really knows a lot about supplements and foods. He's been way down, and he's back up from way down with diets. So broccoli, isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I love that.
I love broccoli.
It's an
Number
idea.
one, I'll eat the broccoli. Richard didn't like broccoli, so he took the capsules, and he benefited from the good nutrition in the capsules. What other foods do you find might help overcome some of our stresses?
Well, you know, whenever I think about foods, I like to think first about those foods that people are typically eating every day that's possibly exacerbating the stress. Yeah, you know, when I used to work in an office, not yours, where
You've never worked in mine.
No,
he comes there.
Not even once. But when people used to come to work with these gigantic sodas, I don't know what you call them, but you could dock a jet ski in them, you know, they're so big, and they'll take like 5 of these a day. And these are the people that are running around and they're pulling their hair out and they're scared all the time and they're nervous, and then it's caffeine all day and caffeine all day. These are the kinds of things that are exacerbating the problem. I think that the fungus is being really riled up when you're eating this way. And so I like to just go back to the basic. Our captain today said something awesome. He was saying, you know, I eat meat and fruit and vegetables. That's a pretty good idea.
And most of the audience would be saying, meat? What's wrong with him? The right meat is really good fat, really good for you now. So we know about foods, right? We don't know yet about supplements, so I'm stressed out.
Yeah.
I'm just hanging on, you know, I'm biting my nails full time. I'll set my big soda pop down. I'll give you that. I'll get up in the morning like Doug says, and I'll start walking a block and ease into a mile or so. Is there any supplements that I can take that might help?
Yeah, let's talk about the ones that you take initially just to bring the stress level down as quickly as possible. Things like phosphatidylserine or PS. Yeah, that's one of the best supplements in the world for that. There's another thing called L-theanine. L-theanine is from green tea. It's actually an amino acid, but it brings the stress level down, according to all the studies that we've ever read on that. Wonderful products. And there's others like chamomile and lavender, and you'll find these combination products. Guy Evans has one called Stress Relief. It's a combination of herbs with hops and chamomile and various things. The other thing that I like to focus on supplement-wise is I like adrenal support products. Things like B-complex, and here's one that people aren't taking enough of that helps. Royal jelly. Oh man, yeah, you can find the capsules. I actually go to an apiary, a bee farm in just outside of Norman, Oklahoma, and I buy this big tub of royal jelly, and I'm telling you, oh, it is like the adrenal gland's first food. It's marvelous, and it just really brings the stress down. It feels, well, like you're out on a boat. That's or listen to me and I'll put you to sleep after.
This is so calming. It's so peaceful.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It feels so good out here. I'm sorry, I didn't hear a word you said. Can
Neither
you say
did they.
that again? There are good supplements, and then there are supplements that might amp you up. I'm thinking of those little drinks that you drink, and you know.
There's little tiny ones.
Think about your lifestyle. Think about exercise. Think about diet. Think about supplementation. Think about prayer. Meditation for some of you. Slow down, relax, smell the roses. Don't go away. We'll be right back with you. I was reading through a great book this morning. It said, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." Folks in science, in medicine, were sicker and sicker and sicker despite new medications. How do you learn more about mold, mildew, and fungus contributing to symptoms and diseases? Go to my website, knowthecause.com.
Depression is a serious condition in children and adults, and it can leave a person feeling helpless, lonely, and very disconnected from their life. The Center for Disease Control estimates that depression affects 1 out of every 10 people in the United States. As a pharmacist, I know we use strong pills for depression, and some of these are mind-numbing. It's interesting to me that researchers conducted a study and they decided that fish oils work just as well as a popular drug called Prozac in many people.
As the sun sets into the west and the Sea Wolf pulls into the harbor, Kyle, thank you very much for being on the show
what
today.
A fun day.
Awesome. It wasn't your voice, it wasn't the soothness of your information or your intellect. It was really the rocking motion. Do you feel this?
It feels
Do you remember
nice.
I used to surf in Manhattan Beach,
Yeah,
California
yeah.
many years ago? These are little tiny waves we're hitting now. Nothing like getting on that board and getting out in the middle of the water like this. It is stress reducing. What's the one supplement that relieves stress that you forgot about?
Rhodiola. All the guys are saying, what about rhodiola? What about Shazandra? I mean, there's a lot of good ones out there. Go to any health food store and they'll help you make a selection.
Thank you, Scott Self, for this wonderful boat and time on the water. Most importantly, folks, thank God for your eyes and your ears to hear this information. You know, I don't have a product company. I don't make vitamin C or anything else. We're trying to teach you what 40 years has taught me in this field. And what, 2 years, I think?
Right.
all the
Half
years,
a year.
all the years cumulatively, Kyle and I have done this. Thank you so much for allowing us in your home every day. By the way, thank you for telling your friends about Know the Cause. We'll see you next time. God bless. Bye-bye.